Welcome back to CBS This Morning. CBS News is investigating claims about the troubling way hundreds of veterans were allegedly treated at one VA medical center. Insiders say the problem was ignored even after it was brought to light. In an exclusive interview, a whistleblower told us the VA medical center in New Orleans failed to properly evaluate veterans for traumatic brain injuries for years and said the results were tragic. Our chief investigative correspondent, Jim Axelrod, joins us with part 2 of this incredibly powerful report. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Anthony. Yesterday, we told you about a whistleblower who says veterans did not get the care they needed for what the VA itself calls the signature wound of combat in Afghanistan and Iraq. This morning, something even more alarming. What insiders say happened when the doctors in charge were confronted.
He had his gun on his chest, and he would pull it to his head, he'd pull it down. He'd pull it to his head, he'd pull it down.
She's the wife of an Iraq war vet who threatened suicide.
How close were you to pulling that trigger?
I was very close. I mean, I was convinced that it would be the best thing for everyone.
They asked we conceal their identities, fearing retaliation from the VA. The vet, who says he suffered 5 knockout blows during the invasion in 2003, first sought treatment at the New Orleans VA in 2011. Diagnosed with PTSD, his wife said her husband's issues went far beyond psychological trauma.
He's in physical pain 24/7 to the point that he wants to end his life because he wants the pain to end.
When he screened positive for a possible TBI at the VA in New Orleans, they were hopeful. But they say he never got the mandated follow-up that would have provided a formal diagnosis and treatment plan for a physical injury.
And it's heartbreaking to watch him at home suffer the way he suffers because he feels like he's not doing enough. He's not trying hard enough. Opposed to, baby, this is biological.
It's just more than a set of symptoms.
In 2017, VA psychologist Dr. Frederick Sauter started to see more and more cases like this. He dug into the data, and something didn't add up. The New Orleans VA was diagnosing TBI at about 1/4 the national rate.
There were 1,500 that really needed to be looked at.
So Dr. Sauter compiled a list of vets who he says screened positive for a possible TBI in New Orleans, but never got the follow-up.
What did you then do with the list?
I found the people who treat TBI.
And it was a list compiled of veterans who basically had just slipped through the cracks.
Nurse Priscilla Pelche was on the team tasked with treating TBI at the New Orleans VA.
There was absolutely no treatment being provided to them.
She and her team pitched a plan to her boss: contact vets on the list and bring them in for reevaluation. She says his response was unbelievable.
That is not our concern. Lose the list.
I'm sorry, what were the last 3 words?
Lose the list.
Essentially, you're a healthcare provider, and you're asking to provide care for veterans who hadn't been cared for. Instead, you shut down.
Correct. How could we not try to do something? That's why we're there. That's why we're there. We took an oath. I took an oath when I became a nurse.
The doctor who Priscilla Pelche says ordered her to lose the list, Dr. Robert Mipro, is the head of rehabilitation services here at this VA hospital in New Orleans. We wanted to hear what Dr. Mipro had to say about how this VA handles TBIs, but he declined our request for an on-camera interview. After part 1 of our investigation aired yesterday,
Hello, Dr. Mipro.
we went to Dr. Mipro's home. We identified ourselves,
Can we ask you a couple questions?
but he was still unwilling to speak to us.
What is he doing working at the VA?
I don't know.
Should he be?
From what I know, no. These problems don't happen unless there's people who are allowing it to happen.
Sauter pressed the VA to investigate. In a report, never made public but obtained by CBS News, the VA found New Orleans failed to provide appropriate care to those veterans with positive initial screening for TBI. The report called for the VA to ensure vets who did not get proper follow-up receive additional screening and treatment.
Did anybody from the VA ever contact you and say you fell through the cracks? Come on back.
Negative.
It's a farce. You know, they're our nation's heroes who deserve the best care. You know you're going into some bureaucracy when you enter. Nothing could prepare you.
For just how bad.
How blatantly, incredibly bad the denial of care is.
In a statement to CBS News, the VA says it, quote, did follow all of the recommendations outlined in the report, and that Dr. Robert Mipro has the full confidence and support of the leadership team. Nurse Priscilla Pelche resigned and filed a complaint claiming she was retaliated against for refusing to lose the list. Her claim failed, but she plans to refile. As for the whistleblower, Dr. Fred Sauter, he retired from the VA last month in frustration after a nearly 30-year career. Gail?
Oh, boy, Jim, I don't even know what to say. You told us yesterday, and I thought yesterday was bad, by the way, with what you unveiled to us. Yesterday was bad. You said wait till today, and you certainly, now I feel it's a 1-2 punch. Veterans who have served in this country should never just fall through the cracks. It ought to be a right this way, how can we help you? This is so disheartening and so upsetting to hear.
I think that's something we can all agree on.
Yep. More people need to see that story. Thank you very much, Jim.